Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een amma ba'du. Tonight, inshallah, this is the fourth installment for the series, one of the problems in the city. And these issues we're dealing with are specifically for our city, Philadelphia. And they might trickle down, because if we don't know, a lot of the problems we have here, they trickle down in the other cities and other communities, whether they're smaller. A lot of people don't know Philly is like the hub for a lot of things, especially Islamically. So a lot of the problems that we have and the issues we deal with, they deal with in other cities. Even if it's a smaller community, it's not that many Muslims, you'll find the same problems that people are going through. So in this one, inshallah, the issue tonight that we're dealing with is the lack of respect for Islamic knowledge, the lack of respect. And just to be clear, lack of respect, and I'm basing this on my personal interactions with people in the community and how we understand things and how we approach things and how we approach knowledge and how we approach learning, based on not just me. This is not based on me, it's based on us. It's based on us. And this is not like a one instance. It's not one instance. And we don't usually do things, classes, based on one isolated incident. When we do stuff like this is based on, because this is something that's a big problem, whether we know it or not. Some of us might not even know it's an issue, but it's a huge problem. It's a huge deterrent as far as us as a community moving forward and taking our Islam to a higher level. Now, this is the first question for us, just to make sure we're on the same page. When it comes to Islamic knowledge and information, right? Meaning if I want to learn something about Islam, what are my immediate references? Where am I immediately looking to find out about Islam? The Quran, great. The Quran, yes. And the Sunnah, the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Are we clear on that? Which means whoever I ask, right? Which means, number one, in my house, I should have a Quran and I should have books of Hadith from the Prophet ﷺ in my own home. If I don't have books of the Prophet, books of Hadith in my house, which is not difficult to get. I'm not talking about 20 volumes. Sahih Bukhari is summarized in one volume for $12, right? The Noble Quran, there's $12, these are $25 worth of books maybe $30 that should be in every house for the Muslim. There's no way we don't have a Quran in our house, and there's no way we don't have one of the books of Hadith, of the statements of the Prophet, whether it's Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. There's no way we're not operating like that. Those are our immediate reference points Islamically. That's called the masadir al-ilm, or masadir al-sharia, masadir al-tashri'. Those are the reference books. Just like in any other place you have reference books, and any other science, right? Our reference, our gauge is always the Quran and the Sunnah. What's special about the Quran and the Sunnah, though?
The law of speech.
It's a law of speech. Tell you, what makes the Quran and the Sunnah special?
Revelation.
It's revelation. The Quran is revelation. And if it's revelation, it's revealed from the heavens. It's Allah's revelation to us. Tell you, that means what's special about the revelation?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. And if it's perfect, that means it has no what? No mistakes, no flaws. There are no flaws in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. We clear? We need to understand where are we going back? Where are we taking our Islamic information from in the first place? That means every person that's speaking about Islam should have that in their reference at some point. We've become a people who reference people. We've become a people as a community, we reference people. We don't reference the ayah. We don't reference the verse in the Quran. Such and such said it, so it must be true. That's a reference to a person. Even if the person is a trustworthy, practicing deen, all of that. That person who's trustworthy and they on their deen, they should still have reference. They should still be able to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. They had to get whatever they're saying, they had to get it from the Quran and the Sunnah. This is Islam. Islam doesn't allow us just to freestyle and make up as we go along. So even if the person is trustworthy, they're upright, they're not liars, they still should have something connecting them back. When we talk about deen, it should be something connecting us back to the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everybody clear? We can't go too far into this, but outside of the Quran and the Sunnah, do we have any other references? Any more reference? Huh? Consensus of Jade. Consensus of the scholars, which is what? What does that mean? And agreements of, who? Let's be specific. With scholars. I'm just use the answer and then we can go from there. Agreement of the scholars. What scholars? The Sahaba. Be specific and say, starting with the companions. As the scholars say, the most trusted ijma' is the consensus of the Sahaba, the companions. That means all the companions said the same thing. None of them differed on it. That's ijma'. That by itself is a reference. Meaning when there's an issue and I don't know the verse, I haven't memorized the verse, I don't know the hadith, right? But there is consensus of the companions. All of the companions agreed that this is what it is. That's what we say. Well, what's the proof on that? Ijma' al-Sahaba. All the Sahaba said that. That's a proof in Islam. And the other proofs. Either way, we're supposed to have something to take us back to our references. That's part of Islamic scholarship. Islamic knowledge goes back to reference books, references. What's your reference? Your reference can't be, and it's not. Islamically, a certain imam is not a reference. Is it possible that a certain imam or a certain sheikh has relayed information, true information? Yes, what he said is true. What's the reference though? Where? Where can I find that? And this is something we used to ask our sheikhs. Where can I find that, sheikh? That's new, I never heard that. Where can I find that at? And the sheikh tell you, look in such and such book. You have such and such in the house? Yes, look in there. There's no hidden knowledge. So that's the first issue, that knowledge in Islam is not taken from TikTok skits. Is it possible what's done on a TikTok skit? Is it possible it's true? It's possible it's true. Is it possible it's a mistake? It's possible it's a mistake. Well, how can we verify what's what? How are we making verification? Are we just sending stuff to other people? How are we gonna verify it? Huh? It's a question. How do we verify what I just saw on TikTok is true? Go back where? That sounds great. But most of us are gonna go ask somebody else. I saw this joint on TikTok. Is this joint right? Is this right? Somebody gonna look at it? Man, I ain't never heard of that joint. That joint look crazy. I'm cool, I'm laying, I'm gonna chill on that. Right? Is that, what type of reference is that Islamically? That's no reference, that's not, that type of interaction is not based on knowledge. But it is based on, anybody know what that's based on? Ignorance. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna stay away from it. Since I don't know what that is, out of my ignorance of not knowing what that is or I'll stay away from it just because I don't know. That's what that's based on. That's not based on knowledge of knowing what it is and what it's not. Everybody clear? Tayyib. What in the Quran proves to us that knowledge is important? In the Quran. Allah said in one verse, and this verses, Allah said, those who fear Allah are those who have knowledge. So, a person with knowledge, when you learn deen, the more you learn, when we say learn, that means you went to class, you took notes, you didn't go in class and stare at the person, you don't understand what's going on, you think about your electric bill and all that kind of stuff. No, you went to class, maybe you didn't understand, so you asked a question. Somebody said something didn't make sense to you, you had to chime in. I didn't understand, what did that mean? You learned something. You went there and you benefited, you learned something, right? The people who learn, it raises their fear of Allah. It makes them better Muslims. That's the goal of learning deen, is to make us a better Muslim, make us better worshipers. What else in the Quran tells us that knowledge is important? It's all through the Quran. Ask the people of knowledge when? When you don't know. When you don't know something, the answer, you're supposed to go ask the people who know. So there's always supposed to be a group of people. Everywhere we are, it's supposed to be a group of people who know. And in order to know, that means you had to do what? Study. All right. The people who are studying, who are those people? Students of knowledge. And we get to that later. We clear? What else in the Quran proves that knowledge is important? Read. The first verse. First verse revealed. Iqra. Read. All the stuff we be reading, this stuff, we're not applying it. Read. We're the people, we're supposed to be readers. Not just buy a bunch of books and stack them up. They look good. I got the biggest library, but that's no benefit if we're not using what's in the books. Everybody clear? Read. We all know the benefit of reading, right? And they always say, I don't know how true it is, but if you want to hide something from a certain type of people, if you want to hide something from a certain type of people, put it in the book. Who those people are, Allah Mustaan. What else in the Quran proves that knowledge is important? Fa'lam. It's another clear one, y'all. Sah. Ahsanti. There's only one thing that Allah commanded the Prophet ﷺ in the Quran to ask for more of. Knowledge. He didn't say ask for more nothing but ilm. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. And say, oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge. Out of all the things that we could ask for, the Prophet ﷺ was only commanded, a command to ask for something more was knowledge. Since the command was to the Prophet ﷺ, what do we have from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that shows us knowledge is important? And I'm going to be specific now, because this one is a dua. It's a dua. La. Fadda. Anybody who speaks Arabic, I'll translate it too. Tayyib. Stop right there. When did the Prophet ﷺ say that dua? Oh Allah, increase me in beneficial knowledge. When did he make that dua? When in the morning? After Fajr, after the Taslim. After Salat al-Fajr, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Oh Allah, increase me in beneficial knowledge. Knowledge is a part of deen. This is part of it. We've minimized knowledge to made it superficial. It's something that sounds good. It's like slick talk to us. This is the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. Sunnah is to want to be knowledgeable. Oh Allah, increase me in beneficial knowledge. Dua after Salat al-Fajr, the Prophet ﷺ used to make. Another verse in the Quran. Oh, this is a question now. Are people who have knowledge of Islam special? Yes, tayyib. How do we know they're special? From the Quran. From the Quran. How do we know people who have knowledge are special?
Allah says, the meaning of which is only those who fear Allah, those who have knowledge that fear Allah.
We already used that verse. Let's use another verse. This is a new one. Sah. You're right. Only the ones who have knowledge, the ones who fear Allah, those who have knowledge. Tayyib. It's not that verse. Another verse shows us that the people who learn deen, when we say learn deen, y'all, we go to the we get in our cars, go to the masjid. It's a class tonight. I'm going to the masjid. It's Muslim class. That's learning deen. It's an Islamic class tonight. I'm going to this class at the masjid tonight. I'm going to learn deen. Those people who do that and they build their knowledge up, they're special, right? How do we know that?
The angels in gatherings, the angels that roam the earth looking for gatherings just like this one.
Sheikh.
And they surround us with
from
their
the
wings.
but from the Quran. Yes, what's the verse? Say Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahl Quran was Sunnah from the Quran. What is it, sister? Sah. Ahsant. Allah says, Yarfa alladina amanu. Allah will raise the believers, right? And then He will raise who? Walladina utul ilma darajat. And He will raise the people who have knowledge even more, even higher. But this is the question. If Allah says, Yarfa Allahu alladina amanu minkum, Allah will raise those who believe, what does that mean, raise them? If Allah raises a person, what does that mean? Because we just say the word, Allah raises you. What does that mean? In the hereafter. Raise what? Raise a person's level in paradise in the hereafter. Tayyib. Honor, what you mean?
Meaning like you have done well, so you will be rewarded.
You've done well, so you'll be rewarded. Tayyib. Further.
Raise your level of taqwa.
Raise your level of taqwa. Tayyib. Anything else?
You gotta be in the hereafter because at the end of the day, you've been raised in this life by knowledge, right? So the goal is to traverse throughout the land with knowledge.
Tayyib.
When you die, inshallah, you're rewarded, and the best reward is the rahmah.
No doubt. The best reward is in the hereafter. Tayyib. If Allah raises the believers, because Allah said in this verse, Allah will raise those who believe. Tayyib. If we use everything that everybody said, in the hereafter, Allah is going to raise us, put us in a better, higher in paradise, raise you in honor, right? What about? Yeah, that's at the end of the verse. Tayyib. What about in this life? Does Allah raise the believers in this life? Or is it only in the hereafter? Huh? Or is it, can we say it's only in the hereafter? No. Tayyib. The point is, what's raised? That's the whole point right now. Or let's say, what's another word for raise?
Honor.
Allah will honor the people who believe. Allah honors the believers. How does Allah honor the believers? Further.
Give them knowledge.
Give them authority.
Giving them the authority. Giving them authority. Somebody said knowledge. Pay attention. Does every believer have ilm, have knowledge? No. Every believer has a level of knowledge, but every believer is not from the people of knowledge. So every believer, Allah is going to raise based on, Allah honors us based on the shahada itself, just based on you being a Muslim. I ain't trying to be funny. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm serious. People take shahada, and when the brother begins to grow his beard, this is an attractive look to women. He's growing a beard for what? Following the Sunnah, Islam. But it's a good look. He looks even better deening. She looks even better with a khimar on. That's deen. She's only wearing a scarf in the summertime because Islam says you're supposed to cover. But the fact that she did out of obedience, she looks even better. He looks even better with a beard. He looks better. This all is just basic, just for being a Muslim, just the shahada itself. The shahada itself raises us and honors us just as Muslims by itself. Allah says He'll raise the Muslims, He'll raise the Muslims, right, the believers. And then Allah said, and He'll raise even higher the ones who have knowledge. We clear? That's the same verse. All that's in the same verse in Surah Al-Mujadila. In Surah Al-Mujadila, verse number 11. We clear? Tayyib. Another verse. All that's in the Quran. This is not just to hear verses, yo. The verses point that we're supposed to be people who take learning serious. That's what it's about. The Prophet ﷺ was only commanded to ask for one more thing, not another wife, not to rule the land, not to stop the people from oppressing them, right? Ask for what? Knowledge. This is a command. The only thing he was commanded to ask for more of was knowledge. Tayyib, the people who fear Allah, the most are those who have knowledge. Allah is going to raise the believers, and he's going to raise even higher than that, the ones who have knowledge from the believers. They get honored even more. This is all in this Quran. We're not even getting the hadith yet. Tayyib? One more verse. Where Allah, and I'll give you, Allah compares two groups of people.
Is the one who knows not like the one who
Yes. Allah Akbar. Allah says, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say to them, are they equal? Are the people who don't know, the people who don't know, are they equal like the people who have knowledge, the people who know? They're not the same. Therefore, we should understand this. Remove me, y'all, because I'm not even referring to myself. I'm really not. I'm serious. Allah said that the people who know, are they like the ones who don't know? They're not the same. Why do we think we're the same? Why do we think we're the same as the sheikh, as the imam? Any masjid you go in. Why would you, a lot of people think, when the imam gets off the minbar, there's a lot of people in the crowd, they feel like they could have did that. But what's the difference between the one that got off the minbar and the person sitting there looking? What's the difference? They studied. Supposed to. They have knowledge. It's understood. That's the expectation is that if you're up there, that you did some studying. You have some type of knowledge above the rest of us. Right? That's the expectation. Accountability. And you're held accountable for it. And we'll sit there and look and say, man, dang, anybody can do that. But Allah said, we're not the same. The people who have knowledge above us, we're not the same as the people who have more knowledge than us. Not because we're arrogant, not because they're arrogant, because Allah said, are the ones who know, are they the same like the ones who know? They're not the same. Why are they not the same? We all Muslim, right? So what separates us? What distinguishes us before Allah? Knowledge, in this case. Of course, taqwa, a person's fear of Allah. But in this case, in this verse, what's the distinction between the people in this verse? Knowledge. Tayyib. All this is the point that this deen is based on knowledge. This deen, Islam, is based on respect for knowledge. Not just respect for positions. We respect the position. We're supposed to respect each other anyway. But there's a high increased level for a person of knowledge. Why? Because Allah said that he raised them degrees over us. He put them levels above us. I don't care how much money you have. Doesn't make a difference. How much your reputation is, none of that matters when it comes to Ramadan and you don't know what to do. You have to find somebody who what? Who knows. All your money is not going to buy you the answer. Your reputation is not going to buy you the answer. You need an answer about deen. I need to know, did this break my fast or not? Astaghfirullah. That's going to make me go where? I don't even know where to look. I got to go to the masjid, and then I got to go to the masjid and talk to the imam. I need to know I don't know if this is all right. It's force you to go. Not because, may Allah forgive us, not because I might not even, maybe I didn't even plan on going to the masjid today, for real. But now I have to go. I might even have to lose money to go. I might have to miss out on some money to go to the masjid to get my question answered. Why? Because I don't have knowledge. I don't have it. And the person that I'm going to ask, they have the knowledge. And that's a distinction that we as a community of people need to recognize that. We need to recognize there's people above us. And I always use the people who come here and lead Tarawih. Right? If they don't come lead Tarawih, nobody here's praying Tarawih. There is no time. Everybody goes home. We complain, they ain't had Tarawih. We try to run to another masjid. But for real, we can't get up here and do it. So don't the people who come here and lead us in Tarawih, don't they deserve a level of respect? Shouldn't they be honored? Allah honored them with knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said one of the only two things to be jealous of a person for. And one of them is what they come and do. Allah gave them the book, the Quran. And he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they stand at night and they read it at night, right? They come here and they lead us in Tarawih. Half of it, if our life depended on it, we couldn't, you know what I'm saying? It'd be a short Tarawih. Allah reward us, but it'd be a short Tarawih, and then we'd complain about that. That joint was all short, I ain't going down there. And whoever said it probably couldn't have did that. Where's the respect for the knowledge? Allah raised the people with knowledge above us. So we're supposed to treat them as such. They're not regulars. Right? They're not regulars. How you know they're not regulars? Allah said that he raised the believers and he raised the people of knowledge from the believers even more. Tayyib. The Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How we know knowledge is important? Based on the Sunnah. Fadda.
Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam
Say something.
he's left two things, and he referred to the Quran and the Sunnah.
Tayyib.
That you never go astray from this.
Tayyib, but how does that, you said Allah, the Prophet said he left two things. If you follow him, you never go astray, the Quran and the Sunnah. How does that show that knowledge is important?
You have to have knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah so you don't go astray.
Jade, you have to have knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah so that you don't go astray. Nobody's going to disagree with that. The only thing is that's super general. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's going to disagree with that. I don't care where you go. Everybody's going to say Sahih. What specifically did the Prophet ﷺ show us that in the hadith that knowledge is the importance of knowledge? He said it, so what did he say?
He says it's obligatory for every Muslim to have knowledge.
To seek knowledge. He said, Talaba al farid ala kulli Muslim. He said it's on every Muslim, it's obligatory to seek knowledge, to try to learn. Trying to learn does not mean I'm going to come out and I'm going to be the number one in the class. Trying to learn means what though? I put the effort in to learn. We in the house, yo. We in the house. We in the house with cars, gas, heat, AC, everything, and we won't get off the couch and go to the masjid. No effort. Bare minimum effort. On the live. Then when the live go out, they mad. And if you at work and stuck, alhamdulillah. But if you sitting in the crib and you can get out, where's the sacrifice? Because if this goes out, then I'm not a technician. Like I don't know how to fix it in the middle of all this. I really don't know how to fix it. I'm just troubleshooting. But you got a car. Allah bless you with a car. There's gas in the car. It's cold. You can turn the heat on. You can get to the masjids, a bunch of masjids around, just to sit for 1 hour. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, Talab al-ilm, seeking knowledge is obligatory on every Muslim. Every Muslim has the obligation of learning a certain amount of information for them, for you. All of us, for us, you. Every individual has to learn a certain amount of information as a Muslim. Tayyib, it's another hadith though. These not new hadith, these old hadith, you know. I'm not trying to trick you. About putting in effort to learn. Because the problem we got in the city is we don't respect this. We don't respect this. We really don't. We respect like college. We do. We respect college, like dunya studies and stuff like that. A person goes to college and they graduate. Alhamdulillah, there's nothing wrong with it. All that's great. Nothing wrong with that. And we need people to do that. We need people to go to trade schools and all of that. We need all of that. But who's going to be doing this in 10 years? What's the hadith, y'all? Anybody know? The hadith is an encouragement to learn. Whoever travels, whoever gets on the path, man salaka tariqan, whoever gets on the path to knowledge, right? The point of them going out was to go learn. That Allah will make the path to paradise easy for them. Just by trying to learn. That don't mean I learned everything. That don't mean I'm the best. That don't mean I'm the sharpest in the class and none of that. But it does mean I went and I tried. Everybody clear? Man salaka tariqan. يَلْتَمِسُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا سَهَلَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِهِ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever goes out to learn, not to do anything else. The point of going out was to learn. That was the intention of going out the house. I'm going to class tonight. It's a class, I'm going to class tonight with the intention to learn. That Allah will make the path to paradise easy for those people. We clear? Tayyib. At some point, and there's many a hadith, Tayyib. The last hadith before we move on is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ told us, of course we know the famous hadith, that the best of you are who? Those who learn the Quran. Learn it. Learn it. You can't teach Quran if you ain't learn it. If you haven't sat in a Quran class in front of a Quran teacher and recited, and the Quran teacher corrects you, and then you recite it again and you're wrong again, then you say, you know what, come back tomorrow, and then you go back tomorrow and it's wrong again. If you haven't learned, then you can't teach it. But the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of you, the best, khairukum, are the ones who go learn the Quran. Go to a Quran class and learn how to recite. You master that, then teach it. Those are the best people, according to the hadith. So that means if they're the best people, they're better than who? The ones who didn't do what? The ones who didn't go learn and they don't teach it. They're better. Why we don't treat the people who learn better? If they're better than us, shouldn't we treat them with some type of respect and honor? Fadla.
It's a matter of the heart.
A matter of the heart. Allahu Akbar.
I mean, if you feel like Allah honors you by choosing you to be Muslim and know Him,
Right.
then you're going to value Islam.
You're going to value Islam, value in deen. The value and respect for deen. This whole deen is based on knowledge. That's why all throughout the Quran, it says what? They didn't follow the guidance. They didn't follow what Allah sent. What they follow? What my forefathers followed. We followed what they said it, so we did it. That's not what Islam is based on. Islam is based on knowledge. Allah sent the revelation, we're following the knowledge. Yeah, that's what they taught us, that's what they did, but that was wrong. We can't do that. We got to stop that. We have to change. We can't do that anymore. Tayyib, the best of those who learn the Quran and teach it. That means the one who went to learn the Quran, they have a level above me. And he's a teacher, he's levels above me with Allah. He's better than me. Based on that right there, based on this hadith, I consider him better than me. Let me treat him as such. If a person had a bunch of money and they come around, may Allah forgive us, yo. You know how we get. Person with all the money that come in the room. You know how soft, you know what I'm saying? I don't know the word to use. Anybody know the word to use? The clean word, Juan. Not the, don't say nothing crazy. Huh? Oh, Joe. Yeah, everybody be Joe with the one that got the money. We Joe, and we want to make ourselves known in front of the one who has money. The one with a reputation. We want to be Joe. We want to get Jah and be seen with the one with reputation. Right? May Allah forgive us. Not all of us, but many of us. The Hafiz Quran will come in and we won't even think twice about him. Oh, y'all gonna we might listen. May Allah forgive us. We might say this. Are y'all gonna let him lead? If the imam not there, oh, y'all gonna let him lead? You know, bull? No. That's where we at. We got to do better than that. Islam didn't, that type of behavior mentality, we're not taught. Islam doesn't teach us that. That's something that we picked up along the way. Allah, I don't know where we picked it up from. Tayyib, the Prophet ﷺ said, in another hadith, إِذَا مَاتَ الْإِنسَانِ انْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ. There's only 3 things that's going to benefit a person after they die. Out of all of the things we could have possibly did, he said there's only 3 things that benefit a person. After we die, there's only 3 things that's going to benefit us. One of them is what? We won't, yeah, sorry, but that's a bad question. The one we concerned about tonight is what? Knowledge. Knowledge that other people will benefit from when we're gone. Knowledge that other people benefit from when we're gone. All the stuff that we did in our lives, there's only a couple things that's going to work for us once we die. And one of them is knowledge that people benefit after we die. We clear? Tayyib. If a person dies, and there was the brother, he was here earlier, right? And he had the, inshallah, Allah make it easy, we could do this, he had the papers for like preparing your janazah. Like, yeah, what's the joint called? Like the prep papers. You fill them out and you get them notarized so that when we die, nobody can come and say, you know how your family, sometimes family come, I raised him as this and he going back as this, and then we can't give a person a janazah. So he came here and he had the papers you fill out and you fill all your information in, right? And then you get it notarized and hand it back into the funeral home. And he said you should hand it back into a masjid and keep a copy for yourself. Once you die, you already stamped and nobody can override that. That your janazah is right. Make sure our janazahs are right. Tayyib. The Prophet said when we die, because part of the death, Islamically, what's connected to our death in Islam? Huh? Who? I'm sorry. All right, let me change the question. Tayyib, sir. Huh? Once we die, right, some things are going to take place here in the dunya, even though we're dead. Some things we owe. Huh? Your debt and your wealth. Your wealth being broken down and given away to those people who Allah mentioned in the Quran deserve it. And that's called what? Inheritance. We die, whatever we leave behind, right? We'll leave behind like what? Money, right? Or something else. When we say inheritance, what's the first thing that come to mind now? Money. All right, cool. Just so we clear. Tayyib. Huh? Sah. But when we die, the first thing that comes to mind is money. And we do know that families are broken up about money while they living, let alone when they die, that tears families apart. It's a hadith, right? I'm sorry, it's not a hadith. But it's a athar from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. We all know Abu Hurairah? What's Abu Hurairah famous for? He narrated the most hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And he went to extremes to get those hadith. Extremes. In our terms, he went to extremes to get that hadith. Does anybody know what he did? How they described him? Abu Hurairah specifically, because a lot of people travel. What did Abu Hurairah do? How they describe him? Companion, a Sahaba, Quran, Sunnah, on the way to Sahaba, right? Abu Hurairah narrated the most hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. He went to extremes to do it. What did he do? He slept outside of the house of the Prophet ﷺ. What else? He would go hungry, yo. Wouldn't even eat. He would tie stuff around his stomach to keep the hunger pains down. Right? All for what? Knowledge. Not for no money. He ain't get paid for that. Everybody clear? Tayyib. It said that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he walked through the market, and the people out there, they selling their stuff. Everybody's selling their stuff. He says, فَقَالَ يَا أَهْلَ السُّوقِ مَا عَجَّزَكُمْ. He said to everybody out there working, right? He said, what's wrong with y'all? Everybody's out there working. As in our terms, everybody out there with they set up, they got their stand, whatever they doing, they selling their stuff. Everybody's out there working. Even if it's under a roof, y'all. We might be all on the roof. We all in there working. He raised his voice and said, what is wrong with y'all? Right? They say to Abu Hurairah, قالوا وما ذاك يا أبا هريرة. What you mean? What's the problem? قال ذاك ميراث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقسم وأنتم ها هنا لا تذهبون فتأخذون نصيبكم منه. He said, the inheritance of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being given away. They're giving away the inheritance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And y'all sitting here, y'all standing here selling stuff. They giving away the inheritance of the Prophet ﷺ, and y'all are standing here selling, buying and selling, working. Qalu wa aynahu. They said, well, where is it at? So we can go get some. Because what he said to them, y'all not going to go get y'all's? That's what he said. He said, y'all not going to get y'all portion? It's a portion for you there. Y'all here selling stuff, but you missing yours is there too. Y'all not going to go get it? They said, well, where is it? Abu Hurairah, he says, qala fil masjid. He said, it's in the masjid. He says, so all of the people, فَخَرَجُوا سِرَاعًا إِلَى الْمَسْجِدِ وَوَقَفَ أَبُو هُرَيْرَةَ لَهُمْ حَتَّى رَجَعُوا. He said, they all ran off and went to the masjid, and Abu Hurairah, radiallahu anhu, he waited there for them to come back. He stood there and waited till they came back. They all went to go get their portion. Let me go get mine. Because we all want, let me get mine because before it runs out. طيب. It says he waited, it says, فَقَالَ لَهُمْ مَا لَكُمْ. When they came back, he said, what's wrong with y'all? He said, what's the problem? قالوا, they said, يا أبا هريرة فقد أتينا المسجد فدخلنا فلم نرى فيه شيئا يقسم. They said, Abu Hurairah, we went to the masjid, we looked in there, and we didn't see anything being given out. They wasn't breaking nothing down. You told us to go get our portion. There's nothing in there. They're not breaking nothing down, separating nothing. They said, we didn't see anybody in there breaking anything down. They said, so Abu Hurairah said, فَقَالَ لَهُمْ. He said to them, you didn't see anybody in the masjid? You didn't see, when you went to the masjid, you didn't see anybody in there? It says, قَالُوا بَلَى. Of course we saw people in there, but we saw people, قَوْمًا يُصَلُّونَ. We saw people in there praying. He said, وَقَوْمًا, and other people, يَقْرَؤُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Other people was in there reading the Quran. وَقَوْمًا يَتَذَاكَرُونَ الْحَلَالَ وَالْحَرَامِ. And another group of people, they in there going over what's halal, what's haram. That's what we saw. We didn't see nobody breaking down no inheritance. Right? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, وَيَحْكُمْ فَذَاكَ مِيرَاث Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, that is the inheritance. That's the inheritance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Which is what? Knowledge and worship. That's it. That's what the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam left for us. How do we not respect knowledge? If the deen points to all of this, how do we turn around and not respect it? How does that work? Where do we get the idea that the person of knowledge is just like me? How? If that was the case, it'd be no distinction. Allah wouldn't have mentioned the distinction in the Quran. And if we are different, why we don't treat each other as such? Why don't we give each other that respect? That's a question. Why don't we respect each other when a person has more knowledge than me? Why do we find it hard to respect a person? Further.
A lot of us come from communities where that's not deemed to be a respectable thing, even though the people that think that it's wrong, they respect the things that they value on a respect level are not knowledge. They do it.
So a lot of things a lot of us don't deem knowledge, Islamic knowledge, to be something respectful to those people. Okay, further.
In most instances, it's because you look like us.
Because you look like us. Most instances, if you look like me, you can't be no better than me. Astaghfirullah. Further, I'm sorry, Sheikh.
Well, maybe the question should be, first of all, we might not know how.
Know how to what?
How to respect the person.
We might not know how to respect them. Good. We might not know how to respect them.
People might not know the value of what they did, their sacrifice, and the reward that they're going to get, and what Allah is going to give them.
Yes, people may not know, Jade.
Yeah, you really can't appreciate them in the regard that they deserve.
Jade, say that again. I'm sorry. My bad. No, because that was what you brought. People may not understand and value what they did. How did they get that knowledge? Like, how did they do that? You look regular, yo. You don't look, in our terms, you don't look like nothing.
And the reward that Allah is going to give them.
And the reward the reward that Allah gives the people of knowledge for their sacrifice to get the knowledge. Well, guess what? All of that goes back to what? Knowledge. That goes back to my knowledge of understanding the reward for learning. my knowledge of understanding the reward for the person who goes and do this. The Prophet ﷺ said, for the person who goes out to learn, it's a reward for that. For the person who learns the Quran, it's a reward for that. Right? It's a reward for that. Like he said, some of us, we don't know how to respect people. We don't know what that even looks like. How do I respect the person of knowledge? We might not even know how to do that. We know how to respect a person with money though, right? A person that has money, and it's known that they have money, when they come around, don't we know how to behave? Huh? We know how to behave, right? Out of hopes that what? Astaghfirullah. You might get $1. You might toss me something. So we can straighten up for them. For them, we can straighten up. For dunya, we can straighten up. But when it comes to deen, I don't know how to respect the person. If a person graduated from Princeton or Yale and they introduce you to he graduated from Princeton. Oh man. MashaAllah. We know how to straighten up for that. But we don't know how to straighten up for this. Allah alam. Allah alam if we don't really know. I think we do know how to start. Whether we want to do it or not is different. If somebody mentioned a person right here, a person is a graduate from Penn, University of Penn. University of Penn has a reputation, right? So when we hear the person graduated from University of Penn, what we say? We happy. MashaAllah. You must be what? Smart. I ain't got to say it. You must be smart. You graduated from Penn. We respect all of that, but we don't know how to respect this. We don't know how to respect this. And our Prophet ﷺ said, "Khayrukum man ta'allama al-Qur'an." The best of you are those who learn the Quran. So when a person comes and they learn the Quran, we don't know how to respect that person? I don't think we don't know how to respect them. I think we choose not to, and Allah knows best. We know how to respect the person who graduated from these nice, great universities. That inside of those universities with those reputations, a lot of times they teach in kufr. A lot of times they're teaching what goes against what we're supposed to be doing anyway. But a person goes through and they sacrifice themselves by going through that program, sacrificing their iman and their Islam by going and being able to come out and still be solid in their deen. We respect them for them doing that. Right? Right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that, y'all. I'm not trying to make there's nothing wrong with that. But how do we know how to respect the person for doing that, but we don't know how to respect the people who do what Allah said and what His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said is respectable? At the bare minimum, our treatment of them, the people who are of knowledge, should be the same treatment that we gave somebody from Penn. Bare minimum. Right? And that's just bare minimum. That's just the start. I should be happy, respectful, right? All of that I'm going to give to that person. Why I don't give that to the person who did what the Prophet ﷺ said will make the path to paradise easy? It's a respect, like you said. If there's a respect for deen, for the deen itself, then all that's going to fall in place. If we don't really respect the deen like that, ihtiram for deen, then we're not going to respect the knowledge of the deen, if that makes sense. Tayyib. After the Sahaba and the Imams of the Sunnah, is plenty of people. We have no example from the Imams of the Sunnah in history. Historically, everything we see, it points to that knowledge was something that was very important. Knowledge was something that was, like, as they say, daruri. And it's like, it's a serious urgency when we look at the Salaf in learning. The urgency is to learn. That was the urgency. Abu Hurairah is a Sahaba. It's so urgent to learn, he was starved to learn. That's how urgent it is to the companions and the people coming after them. It's so urgent to Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, they travel in the world. They're traveling the world. I'm saying we travel the world for all kinds of stuff, yo. We travel the world for a business that we think won't jump off. We travel the world because they say that the women there are very, you know what I'm saying, they're beautiful and they're obedient. We travel half the world for that. And I'm not saying it's haram. I'm just saying that's what we do, right? These people are traveling the world for what? Knowledge. To hear a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have to go to this person to learn that. That's it. This is the Islamic legacy that's left. How do we turn around, y'all? How? The question has to be, why don't I see that to be important? Why don't I see learning Islam to be important? Based on what though? You said based on the heart being hard. So what makes my heart hard? Sins, disobedience. I'm disobeying the law. I'm not trying to really be around people like that anyway, so I'm not as, and this is a whole nother issue. Based on what? On the heart and of the heart. The farther you are away from deen, that means you're closer to dunya. And you start to respect more dunya than you respect deen.
You had gave an example of the people that go to pen.
Yeah.
You said the sacrifices.
Yes.
Allah says enter Islam wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly.
Those same sacrifices that a person will go through with pen and all of that,
Yeah.
They know what they intended.
Yes.
When they go there. Us, we not. The heart got to be attached to the hereafter.
It has to be.
So that we can make them sacrifices to come out better like the person that's in pen.
No doubt.
He struggled as well, like you said.
No doubt. The person that went to pen struggled, he can't. But like he said, the person that pen knew what the end result was. When I finish here, I'm just saying, this gonna hold weight. My name gonna hold weight. I'm a pen, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's gonna be. There's something attached to the end of it. I'm not going to pen. And I ain't got nothing against pen. Y'all like pen. It's not about that. It's the point. Or any other prestigious school. The same thing applies. If I know the reward for doing this, if I know the reward, it's going to push me to want to do it. Everybody's trying to get to paradise. That's the goal. But the Prophet said, the goal to paradise is easy if you do what? If you're trying to learn. Trying to learn. Talab al-ilm is to try to learn. A student of knowledge is trying to learn. They may not necessarily be the top of the class. They might not be the sharpest, but they're there on the path trying. So the one who's trying is on the path. The Prophet said, Allah is going to make the path to paradise easy for them people. There's no way that a man like Ibn Shihab, it says Ibn Shihab az-Zuhri rahimahullah, he says, تبعت سعيد ibn al-Musayyib في طلب الحديث ثلاثة أيام. He said, I followed Ibn Shihab az-Zuhri. If we don't know who he is, he's a famous imam of the Salaf, Ibn Shihab az-Zuhri. He said, I followed Saajid ibn al-Musayyib around for 3 days trying to learn hadith from him. Just following him around. Right? That type of behavior, how would you describe it? Seriously, just how would you describe it? Extra, over the top. Clingy, too much, drawn. Right? In these, I'm talking about right now. If you had to describe somebody who was doing something like that, would you not use those words? And to us, I'm serious. I'm not, there's no fluff, no fluffy stuff. Is that decent to us? No. And the fact that it's not decent to how we was taught, we refuse to do stuff like that. We refuse to dedicate ourselves to learning because that's corny. To us, that's corny. That ain't decent. You keep following, boy. Keep asking questions. Right? Joe, you all like that ain't decent. And therefore, that attitude prevents us from learning, prevents us from respecting knowledge. But the people we say we follow and we love and the Salaf and all that, that's what they did. That's why we mention them 1,000 years later. Because they did what we're saying is corny and clingy and drawn.
That's why we gotta learn adab.
Yes. That's why we have to learn, like many of the ulama say, that's why you should always read the biographies of the imams of the past of the Salaf, the scholars of hadith and the scholars of Islam. You should read their biographies. It's an encouragement. It'll encourage you to want to do more. If we looking at each other, like we comparing to each other, we all weak. We ain't like, if you looking at somebody weak and you looking at yourself, that's not a very, a very good gauge. You got to look at people that's stronger than you, people that's better than you. I need to be doing more. Don't look at somebody and say, I'm doing, well, at least I'm doing better than him. At least I'm doing better than her. No, 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 no. You look to the people that's better than you so you can be better. Tayyib? It says here, call it Abu Dawood. He says, أدركت ألف شيخ كتبت عنهم. He said, I met 1,000 sheikhs that I learned from. 1,000. In order to meet 1,000 different teachers, what do you think he had to go through? A whole lot of sitting down. What else? A whole lot of traveling. What else? What comes with traveling? Pain, hardship, spending money, sickness, all of that. In order to learn what though? Hadith, deen. We sitting around, y'all, we sitting around. Yo, we sitting around. Lights. They didn't even have electric. They using candles. Huh? We sitting around. Heat banging, summer AC, cars, glasses. If you want to make a copy, you just go buy the book, photo. Like if they wanted to make a copy of a book, it's called naskh. They had to go to the person who had the book, and they might be there for 2 days, and they might be there for a month copying the book by hand. We go to the store, grab a whole volume, 9 volumes, just like that. Come back, sit it here, and it be there till Ramadan. Allah forgive us. We might grab one every now and then. Laptops, we downloading books, zoop, just like that. All access, but are we using it? Fadlan. Wahi, yeah, revelation. Oh.
What's the word that we live in the time? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the time that you'll have love of the dunya and fear of death.
Oh, love of the dunya. Yeah, I know the hadith. Fear of death. Yeah.
Say that to say, I'm asking.
You sure?
We say the fear of the enemy.
Oh, okay. Further.
But the companions, you know, they had to understand they wanted to worship Allah. Like we during this time, I'm asking you, we like you saying is deen. Is to worship Allah correctly.
No doubt.
Correct?
That's the point of the knowledge is to worship Allah properly.
Like the salah.
You're not just.
How many years I've been saying this? How many of us right now know to shut up?
Yeah.
Start to finish in English.
Yeah. Knowing it. That's no doubt. Part of knowledge, yo, is not just gathering information. That's not what it's about. It's not about just showing up at a class so you can be seen there. Once I learn, I'm supposed to do what? I'm supposed to practice it. You learn, you know better, you do better. Cool. If you know that, then do it. But our problem is a lot of us, and I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of us are scared. We still want to be in the street. We still want that reputation from the street. We can't do this all the way. If we do this all the way, I'm a zero. In my brain, not with Allah, in my brain though. With Allah, we're in a better position. But in my brain, if I really do this all the way, I'm a zero now. My reputation is done. I'm starting from zero. So we don't want to leave that old rep, whatever it was, for this. Now I got to start all over. But we're in a better position when we do this with Allah. Who wants to die with a reputation for whatever it was that a Muslim ain't supposed to be doing anyway? But that's your reputation. Even though you left that years ago, everybody still know you for that. People who leave that and they don't want to be attached to the people don't even know them for that. You would never know because they don't want to be known for that. They've changed all the way. You would never, ever even know the brother was in jail. You would never know that. You look at him and you're going to say, I can't even imagine you being in jail. Because he changed. I can't imagine you doing something like that. That's because Islam changed him. Islam changed her. That's what the knowledge is for, to change, for the better. Not to change and now you think you're better than everybody. You want to tell everybody what to do. You want to tell, no. Not for that, to make me a better worshiper. Therefore, the man travels and learns from 1,000 scholars. 1,000. The man follows him around for 3 days to learn a hadith. Everybody clear? I told somebody, I think it was when we was in Delaware. I really wish that the community could see what it takes to go study and what has to happen in order for a person to make it all the way to the end and come out at the, I wish a person could see. See what we see is the final, if you say the final product. So you see somebody come here, they give a clip and it look easy. It looks like effortless. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, dang, I couldn't do that. And then some people, damn, that looks so, I probably could do that. I mean, I probably could. I wish we could see what it takes. If we could see what it takes, I think it would raise the level of respect for what we looking at the end. And I'm gonna tell you, the language program by itself, in Mecca and Medina. In Mecca and Medina, right? Number one, most people, when they go to Saudi, when they go to Mecca and Medina from us, they either go to Mecca, al-Qura, or they go to Medina, University of Medina. When you go to University of Medina, or the programs are pretty much very similar. They're 2-year programs. There are other schools in Mecca and Medina to study in. It's not just these 2 schools. Does anybody know why everybody goes to these 2 schools?
Nobody knows any knowledge to get in those schools.
What-
Hadith, no full Arabic language.
Yes, no, we don't, basically in basic terms, we don't qualify to get in any of the other schools there. We only qualify to get in Islamic University Medina and al-Qura. Because the other schools don't have Arabic programs. You have to know Arabic when you get there. So most of us don't know Arabic when we leave anyway, so we only qualify to go to them 2 schools anyway. Because those 2 schools have 2-year Arabic programs. Therefore, you go there, you get your Arabic up, and then once you get your Arabic up, then you can go further into the college. Now, whether you're in Mecca or Medina, you got to go to an Arabic program. The Arabic program, let me ask you, does anybody know how long a person, here in America, does anybody know how long a person spends in class for a bachelor's degree? 4 years. Huh? 4 years, right? No, how much time? They go by hours. Anybody know how many hours?
150 hours, credit hours.
No, in class time. Way above that. Those are credit hours, not credit hours. You could be in class for 3 hours, right? And how many credits that could be? It might be 1, it might be 2. You know what I'm saying? Not the credit hours. Credit hours like 120. In class time, a bachelor's is approximately between 1,200 hours to 1,800 hours for a bachelor's degree here. A bachelor is how many years? 4 years. Or 5, right? The language program in Mecca, Medina is a bachelor's amount of hours stuffed in 2 years in a foreign language. 1,600 hours in 2 years in a foreign language. We're doing 1,200 to 1,500 hours in 4 years in English, and we got a problem with that. And that's rough, right? Tell you, a person leaves their everything, may even leave their family and go by themselves, and they do 4 years worth of time stuffed in 2 years worth, in order to do what? Only for Arabic, y'all. Meaning they're getting their Arabic vocabulary up. Most of the stuff in that time that you're learning is stuff that you probably know in English already. You're learning it in Arabic. No real advanced studies. It's nothing advanced like that. Everybody with me? We clear? 4 years. 4 years worth stuffed in 2 years. This is our brothers that we know. The brothers that you know that went to Mecca and Medina, this is what it is, Mecca and Medina. That's now, it's 2 years now. Before we got there, it was 3 years in the language program. You had to do 3 years. They broke it down to 2. Everybody clear? What does that look like? That means, and I'm only mentioning this so we can kind of get an idea. That means you go to school 5 days a week from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 1:30 in the afternoon, 5 days a week, whether you're in Mecca or Medina. And if any brothers in Medina, they want to correct me, I'll stand to be corrected, but for the most part, it's very similar. They say, this is what's said, this is not me. They say that the Arabic program in Mecca is stronger than the Arabic program in Medina. This is what's said. Either way, we spend in the same time. Why? In Mecca, if you're in the language program in Mecca, you're doing a bachelor's program. You're doing bachelor's worth of work in 2 years in a foreign language that you don't know, that you're learning. You're on the job learning it, right? On top of that, you can't fail any tests. You can't fail any classes. If you fail a class, you have it's a large possibility you will not go further in your studies. That's in Mecca, all right? Medina's a little different. The rules are a little lighter. So even if a person failed a class, that means they still may be able to go further in their studies. Everybody clear? Y'all with me? Tayyib. A person does that for 2 years and they do a whole bachelor's worth of work in a 2-year stint, right? After they finish that 2 years, so for real, they did a bachelor's. They just did a bachelor's in 2 years. After they do that, you have to be accepted. You have to get accepted into the college for a bachelor's degree. Remember, that's just your 2 year to get your language up. You haven't really learned that much like detailed studies like that. Then you have to get accepted into the college, even though the school is a university, right? All right, what college you want to go to? And I'm just telling y'all what's famous. In Medina, the strongest college in Medina, they say is Hadith. That's the strongest college in Medina. They say the strongest college in Mecca is either Sharia or Qadha, right? You have to get accepted into the college. At least in Mecca, you have to get accepted. Your grades have to be high enough. Meaning if your grade's not high enough in al-Qura, you got to go to like another program, an offshoot. It's not really what you can still benefit there, but that's not what you intended when you went there. You wanted to go to the college. The college is now a bachelor's degree, which takes how long? 4 years. Another 4 years of bachelor studies in foreign language. This isn't a foreign, nothing, crazy we don't know, nothing is in English, y'all. There is no English, there's nothing in English. Right? You with me? Brothers just did a whole bachelor's in 2 years. Finished that, and now I got to do a whole nother bachelor's in a foreign language, no English. Tayyib? A person who finishes that, just so we clear, along with everything that we're talking about, you're traveling, you're spending money, you're getting sick, you're getting old, you're getting this, you're getting that, families are torn apart on the way, divorce is happening, children, I know brothers, man, they died over there. Died, I'm talking about the whole family died except for one child. They're there, brother was there in Medina studying, and they got in a car accident, and everybody in the car, him, his wife, all their children died except one. What is he there for? He there for knowledge. He's not making, it's no money. It's no money. That, no disrespect, but the stipend that's given is very little, yo. It's like $200 a month. Allah Akbar. He died on the path. Even to this day, we don't know where he lines up as far as how much knowledge he had, right? But he died on the path. Allah yarhamuhu. Right? Tayyib. You do 4 years. Once you finish your bachelor's, what's after a bachelor's? A master's. You know you have to get accepted to the master's. You can't just walk in the master's program. In order to get accepted to the master's, what you think they're looking at? Your grades where? In the bachelor's. What you've been doing the past 4 years. Let's look at your GPA. Some of us, a lot of us, man, y'all not even considered. Like, yo, you know you're not applying. You know, you step over, chill. See if I can get what they call a wasita, vitamin wow. which is if I can get somebody to write me a letter, man, maybe they'll let me in. Maybe I can go to one of the princes. If I can get some sheikhs to write me a letter, they might let me in anyway, but my grades ain't getting me in. So you prepare to go back to America or whatever country you came from. Why? Because you haven't even met the requirements to get into the master's program. Now this is the question, how many people, and I'm being specific now, how many inner city black kids that you know walking around with degrees from Islamic universities? Few, right? A handful. Would you say that's rare? Here, yeah, here. For us, is that rare? We don't think it's a distinction. We don't think that's something like sacred and special. We treat like this. You talking about time-wise? You talking about 8 years now? 8 years of in class. That's just in class. We're not talking about outside with the ulama and the masjid. We're not talking about none of that. Just with a bachelor's, you're talking about 2 years, bachelor's worth of time in the Arabic program, Mecca and Medina, and then, which is 4 years in time. Then you got another 4 years. You're talking about 8 years of sick, no money, families breaking up, all that stuff, right? Now you finish the bachelor's program. In order to get into the master's, number one, your grades have to be high enough. Number two what? Anybody know? You got to take a test. Can you pass the test for the master's program? All right, cool. We're going to allow you to take the test. Yalla, bismillah. Can you pass? Let's just say bismillah, alhamdulillah, you passed the test. How long is the master's program? About 3-4 years. Not in America. You ain't talking about America, Jack. About 3-4 years. You up to 12 years of time, in-class time, yo, 12 years. We don't think that deserves no respect? And then when you finish your master's, this is a thesis. You got to present your thesis in Arabic. This regular? We think people walk, how many people do you know, think in your brain, how many people you know with a master's degree in any Islamic studies? How many people can you know? Can you name? 1, 2, 3. How many Muslims in Philadelphia? Right? And you can think of 1, 2, 3. That's rare. That's not nothing that's everyday walking around like, this is not that. We don't think that deserves a level of honor for what they did. I don't want nobody applying this to me, even though I was there. I'm getting to a point. Because it ain't just me, it's people who've been doing this. Brothers been doing this since the 90s. Blacks, specifically, inner city, not just black, inner city. Not just black, inner city been doing this since the 90s. Earlier than that, right? This been going on. Where's the honor and the level of raising them in our eyes? Like, yo, let me just show some respect, y'all. May Allah forgive us, man. As we say, we'll put more respect on somebody's name who's a shooter in the street, a killer. We'll respect that more than we respect the person they're in knowledge. That's backwards. We have not been taught that Quran Sunnah with the Sahaba, none of that. That's something new. That's not deen. Tayyib, a person finishes the master's program and they have to do a thesis and they have to present a thesis. And I'm saying this so I want us to understand what goes into all of that. This definitely ain't me because I don't have a master's. So I'm comfortable talking about this because it's not me. Right? You know a thesis? The thesis research about the size of this noble Quran, 2 of them. 2 of these in Arabic. That a person, if you wrote this, you did all this, your work, cool, we're gonna test you. Open up to page 3. I sat there and watched it. I sat there and watched it. Open up the page. This yours? Yeah. Open up to page 3. Read the second line from the bottom of the page. طيب. Explain that. In Arabic. This is all in Arabic. 2 hours worth of that. That's volume 1. And the people that they're going back and forth with, these are scholars. That's volume 1. Just go to volume 2. Boom, bust out volume 2. Page 40. I'm talking about these are big. You see how big this book is? First person I saw do this is Sheikh Tahir. Allah Yahfadhu. You see how big this is? This is your work, sir? Yeah. Explain to me what you wrote on page 122, the 6th line from the top, since that's your work. One of the sheikhs sat up and he said, it was something. He said, you said on page such and such, such and such. He said, you said that, right? Sheikh Tahir said, nah. He said, this is what the sheikh said. He said, that's not the Aqidah Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. You said that? That's what you said? He said, yeah. Sheikh said, that's not the Aqidah Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Sheikh Tahir said, yes, it is. I said, yo, you can't say that to the sheikh. He said, yes, it is. He said, la. Sheikh said, no, it's not. He said, nah, that's the Aqidah Ahl Sunnah. And then now you had to explain it to him. Explain how that's from our belief. Explain that that's from the belief of the Muslims, that right there. He did, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Go to page 362. First line from the top, start reading. What does that mean? And he got to sit there and explain it. 2 hours worth. Everybody with me? That's just for a master's that you had to have a high enough grade point average in the bachelor's to take the test, to pass the test, to do the research, to come out with these 2 at the end. You with me? Who you know walking around with a master's degree as a minority in America in the city of Philadelphia with a master's degree in Islamic studies? You tell me. Who? I want to know who now. Tahir and Mufti. Sheikh Tahir and Mufti in this city. I don't know. I personally don't know anybody else. Bachelor's degree is one thing. So we're going to turn around and say, man, a master's ain't nothing. A master's is not anything? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. How not? How not? When number one, I can't even get into the math. If my bachelor's degree grades now, I can't even get there. I'm not even considered. You see what it takes to get in all this? And then one of them will come in here and they make it look easy. They look like us, so we thinking, man, we the same. MashaAllah. Nah. You had like 12 years now. You had about 12 years. We not the same. I'm looking at them. We look the same. We talk the same language, but Allah raised the believers and He raised the people of knowledge even more. Shouldn't we show some respect? And it didn't just start with these people. These people been doing this since the 90s, y'all. Earlier than that. I'm just not that old, but I'm old enough to say the 90s. Right? Shouldn't we have some respect for the deen teachers to respect these people? Tayyib. Finish the master's. What's after a master's? Doctorate. You think anybody just walks into the doctorate program? You know you get graded on your thesis too. This gets a grade. They actually grade it. And if it's good enough, they'll sell it in the bookstores. And by the way, Sheikh got like an excellent mark on his master's thesis. MashaAllah. Tayyib. After that, it's a doctorate degree, a PhD in Islamic studies. How many people from Philadelphia, born and raised, do you know with a PhD in Islamic studies? One person. Would you consider that rare? That's rare, ain't it? We don't think that's something that needs to be honored and respected and we should be paying attention to that? We think that's regular? We think it's a regular thing? This not Saudi. Everybody, a bunch of people walking around with doctorate degrees. It's not that. Count how many people you know have a doctorate degree in anything. Not even Islam, in anything. Let alone in deen, is a foreign language. You had like 18 years now. 18 years of studying. We don't respect, how are we not going to respect that? Allah forgive us. And we don't even recognize what's in front of us. That's the reality. That's what happens. Then you got to go through a doctor. And then the doctor, there's a whole nother presentation of your doctorate at the end. I'm talking about like 20 years. Everybody get it? That's what goes in. How as a community, how we can't look and identify. We have to be able to look and identify what's in front of us to be able to take benefit from it. Part of the problem is we don't know. We really, like you said, we haven't seen that done, so we don't know what it takes. We don't know the struggle. We don't know what all of that was put in. Nobody never saw this. Most people never saw it. I saw it. It was 2 of them. 2 books that size, just for the masters. And this was a time before live and all that stuff, so nobody was there. So I was there recording it on my, what's it called? The iPod, not the iPad, the iPod. Download on my iPod. And you gotta argue. This is you, yo. This is me and you. Any one of us in here. You're arguing back and forth with the scholars in Arabic about deen issues. What you gathered from research and your studies. What they taught you. They taught you how to do it. Now do some work and come back and let's argue. Let's do a discussion about it. One of them was Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr. And I think it was Sheikh Abdullah, if I'm not mistaken, Abdullah Jarbur, if I'm not mistaken. Sheikh Tahir did his dissertation with them too, if I'm not mistaken. It was another one, I can't remember his name though. And it was long, and it was very detailed. Point being, we don't recognize what we have in front of us. And when the way we are, we don't respect knowledge. So we'll deal with people as if they're just random regular people walking around. Random regulars. Has anybody here made Umrah before? Anybody made Umrah? All right, anybody been in the Prophet's Masjid, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Anybody seen the imams at the Haram? Right? You know why all those people are gathered around him? When he walks, it's a crowd following him. You know what that's for? What's that for, y'all? Huh? Ask them questions. Overall, what is it for? Respect. They respect that. That's such and such. Let me go see if I can give them slams. That's corny to us. That's Sudais. That's Shuraim. That's Sheikh this one. Damn, let me go over there and see if I can give him a shake. Give him a handshake, give him salams. Let me run over there and give him salams. We still living by this code, so we're not doing that. We're not lowering ourselves in front of the people who Allah raised. We're not doing that because we still living by their rules. Out of respect. They're running up on Sheikh Abdul Razak out of respect. Out of respect for the knowledge he has. Maybe I can get him to answer a question. Let me see if the Sheikh is hungry. Let me get the Sheikh a water. We too, huh? I ain't no flunky. And that's why you can't learn, because you ain't no flunky. That mentality is why we can't learn, because I ain't no flunky. Therefore, we don't respect knowledge, and it's going to be difficult for us to get over that hump with that type of mentality. Not let me respect the people who Allah raised. Allah raised the people of knowledge. Let me respect them. Let me try to help them. Let me be of some type of service. Can I do something? Not that. I ain't no flunky.
Communities, like if you go to an Arab community and Tahir was teaching there, they will show you how to respect it.
No doubt.
They run behind him, they ask him questions, the same stuff.
Stuck for the law. I hate to put it out there, yo, but yo, man. These brothers, man, they from us, yo. I'm saying like that. They're born and raised in the city. Yo, they go to some places, yo, it'll be like a concert. Straight up. And we walking around talking like, you, like, who? As if we've put in anything from sacrifice. It doesn't mean that people ain't gonna be, everything is 100, nobody's gonna be human. Anybody can make a mistake. If we don't know Sheikh Rahimahullah, Uthaymeen Rahimahullah, do we know Sheikh Uthaymeen's story? Rahimahullah. We don't know Sheikh Uthaymeen, Rahimahullah, made a mistake. And all of his students left him. One student was left with him. Sheikh Uthaymeen, and everybody runs around buying all his books. What about when he made a mistake? Everybody left him. Except one student. And then he wrote that famous book about the names of Allah, Allah's names and attributes. We looking at each other. You can't make him. If Abdul Rahman makes a mistake, he's done. Where'd that come from? Who authorized that? Like nobody can make a mistake. And people older than Sheikh Uthaymeen, right? I'm just using him because he's, contemporary. A lot of his books are floating. What about when he made a mistake and everybody left him? We still quoting his books. He corrected himself, and we still go. Right? May Allah forgive us. It's a reason when we hear the stories of the Salaf, starting with the Sahaba, it's a reason that they sacrificed the way they sacrificed to learn. It wasn't about money. And that's why we hear them stories, and the sacrifice that you hear sometimes is almost unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable. I can't believe somebody would do something just to hear a hadith. They traveled that far to hear hadith. That's respect for the knowledge. Sacrifice. And we sitting around, we cozy. I was in class with a brother, right? And this summer, I was getting ready to come back. So we walk into the bookstore. And I've been there with him for like 7 years now. Maybe 8 years, something like that. So everybody in the summer, everybody travels and go back to their country. So we go into the bookstore. So I'm like, when you leaving? He like, for what? I said, you ain't going back? He said, I can't. I can't go back. Not I'm not going back. He says, I can't go back. What you mean you can't go back? He said, when I go back to my country, anybody who comes back to my country from Saudi, they have them on a terrorist watch list. He said, the government chases us with guns. Not random people, the government. He can't go home. I said, what you gonna do? He said, I'm gonna just stay here. And he didn't go back. When he left, he went somewhere else. I had people in my class, they can't. Listen, if you grow a beard, you're going to jail. We're not talking about you going to jail 3 years. Just to grow a beard. You teach like, you do this? 5. He said 5 years. Mafi kalam. Nothing to talk about. You're going to jail 5 years. We set up, right? Live. Win. Every day if you want. Right? We can do this every day. If we want, we can do this every day. No pressure. Alhamdulillah. If we were to do this every day, guess what's going to happen? The number, burnout. The number of people in the room is smaller and smaller and smaller. Smaller and smaller and smaller. Right? But Allah put us in the position, we have the opportunity. In this city, we have opportunity to learn. We're not like other cities. They may not have that. They may not have any. There was a brother here like 2 months ago from I think it's from Alabama. He's from Alabama. Right? He's a nice brother too, mashallah. He had the gold fronts in and all that. Nice brother. Brother from Alabama. He said, no, he's a good brother, man. So he said, yo, why don't you come down? I'm like, Alabama? I don't even know I said, yo, is nobody like who down there? He says, nobody. Nobody? What you mean nobody? There's no students of knowledge down there. There are no students of knowledge down there. Well, who's doing what? I mean, it's just this person, but nobody studied like that. Nobody. That sounds crazy, don't it? To us, it sounds crazy because we flooded and we still don't be benefiting like that. Everybody get it? When are we going to put the respect into what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to respect? This is what we've been taught to do. We've been taught 2 things. We've been taught stuff before Islam, and then we've been taught things in Islam. Which one are we going to follow? That's the question. Which one am I willing to follow? Because for many of us, a lot of us, and I know, I'm sure, I don't have any doubt about this, a lot of us are scared. A lot of us are scared. If I do that, that looks Joe. If I do that, that looks soft. If I do that, that looks weird. It looks weird to them. In Islam, it's a reward connected to it. But I'll leave the reward because I don't want to look weird. And we don't want to die. We don't want to die like that. We don't want to die practicing something that goes against the revelation. And we don't have to. We have more than enough opportunity. It says here, Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he said, I thought about something. He said, and I was amazed by it. He says, وَهُوَ أَنَّ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ نَفِيسٍ خَطِيرٍ يَطُولُ طَرِيقَهُ. He said, everything that is precious and worthy of something, it's a long road to get to it. It's going to take some time, right? He says, and when you're on that road, it says, وَيَكْثُرُ التَّعْبُ فِي تَحْصِيلِهِ. On that road, you're going to be burnt out and tired. You get burnt out on that road. He says, فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمِ لَمَا كَانَ أَشْرَفُ الْأَشْيَاءِ لَمْ يَحْصَ إِلَّا بِالتَّعَبِ وَالسَّهْوِ وَالتَّكْرَارِ. He said, as far as knowledge is concerned, being as though knowledge is the most honorable, respectable thing that a person can get, he said a person will not gain knowledge except with fatigue. A person is tired in repetition. Tired in repetition. That's how it comes. It's not an overnight thing. You're talking about 18 years. 18 years of repetition. Right? You're talking about 18 years of sickness. On and off sick. 18 years of situations. Because if we don't know, when you leave here and you up and go somewhere, life that you had here, your responsibilities are still there with you. They still your children. You still got to make sure they eat. That's still your wife. She still has rights, right? They still get sick. They still have to go to the hospital. Your children still have to go to school. You still have to correct your children when they learn something incorrect in school. It don't stop, right? He said it's only with fatigue and tired that you get it, and by repetition. He said, وَهَجْلَ لَذَّاتِ الرَّاحَةِ. He said, and this is the big one. He said, in leaving off the pleasure of relaxing. The pleasure, that's a pleasure. The relax is just I'm gonna just relax all day. If we say I'm gonna just relax all day, what does that mean? I ain't doing nothing all day. Just think about it. I'm not doing it all day. What you do today? Nothing. Oh, I'm starting. I'm just saying. What did you do today? Nothing. I didn't do anything. I just sat there. I chilled all day long. Right? Of course, we prayed. But after we prayed, nothing. No type nothing. Right? And we don't see an issue with that. Right? And I'm not saying people don't deserve days off. I'm just saying. He said you have to leave the pleasure of relaxing in order to learn. If you want to learn. Meaning at some point you got to get up. You have to get up out of the house and go at some point. We're not very good at answering questions on the live. Some people are good. I'm not very good at that. I'll be done pushed the wrong button and stopped it. Then you'd be mad about that. So I'll leave it alone. Sorry. You got to come down, and alhamdulillah, we're here. We can do, like, you know what I'm saying? You have to be ready to leave relaxing, is what he said. He says, حتى قال بعض الفقهاء, some of the scholars of fiqh have said, he said, I spent years أشتهي حريسة لا أقدر لأن وقت بيعها وقت بيعها وقت سماعة الدرس. He said, I spent years trying to buy trying to buy something, right? He said, but I wasn't able to buy it for years. Years went by, I still wasn't able to go grab it. Why not? Because the time that the store opened was the time that the class was going on. So what I'm gonna do? Go grab or go to class? I spent years, for years I couldn't purchase it because Every time they open, it's the time I got class. So I go to class. Sacrifice. Imagine this, y'all. All of those years, we're talking about 12 to 18 years, right? That's just time in the university. That doesn't include the times outside of school at the masjid with the sheikhs. It doesn't even include that. That's just in school on paper time. That's not talking about after Maghrib, going to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's masjid, sitting from Maghrib to Isha, after Asr's class, after Maghrib. We're not talking about that. That's a whole nother block of time you got to put on top of them 18 years, or 12 years, or 8 years. Bare minimum 8 years. You do 4 years worth of time in the 2-year language program, and then you do 4 years worth of time in the bachelor's program. 8 years minimum. Just in class. We're not talking about outside. That's what we're looking at. Now they come here, the Mufti come here, he makes stuff look so easy and fluid and smooth, and you're like, mashallah. You know what that took? Sheikh Tahir comes, you know, it's a doctor. How many doctors? We don't know any doctors, most of us. We don't think that's something we should be proud of. Somebody gonna tell us, no, doctor don't mean nothing. Well, if a doctor doesn't mean anything, why do all of the scholars that we read their books, why do they all have doctorate degrees? If it means nothing, why do they all have them? Everybody book, doctor this one, doctor this one. Well, if it means nothing, why do they have them? And these are the people who we say, what? These are people of knowledge, right? Right? We're following their footsteps, right? When it comes to learning, we following their foot, right? So how are we going to turn around and say it doesn't mean anything? That's what, there you go. If I don't have something, of course I can say that don't mean nothing. If I'm a person who may not respect that level of knowledge. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. طيب. Lastly, it says, قال أبو بكر ibn Abi Shayba. And a lot of these have to do with the mentality and how we look at knowledge in Islam. How do we, like, what do we think it's just something like that be decent to do? Right? He said, Ibn Abi Shayba said, من لم يكتب 20,000 حديث إملاءً لم يعد صاحب حديث. He said, whoever doesn't write down, imla, like dictation, is dictated to him. Somebody says it, and while they're talking, while they're saying it, you writing it. He said, whoever doesn't write down, about like that, 20,000 hadith, by that and like that, they're not a person of hadith. 20,000. You see how the goal, the big 20,000, 100,000 sheikhs. Some of the scholars said, no, you weren't a person who could say anything till you weren't a hafiz until you memorized 200,000 hadith. Until then, chill. Imam Malik said, I didn't teach until 70 scholars. We know Imam Malik, rahimahullah? I didn't teach until 70 scholars vouched for me. That means a bunch of scholars knew him. That means he was what? He was what? He was going and sitting, as we say. And if you're going to the classes with the scholars, what are you? A student of knowledge, going to learn. 70 different scholars vouched for him. This is the last thing I'm going to say, unless there's any questions. We went to Medina, right? And I saw this like a couple weeks ago. And this was for Sheikh Tahir came back, right? He was teaching in the Prophet's Masjid in Medina in English. And at one point we went to Medina and Sheikh Khalid Radadi, rahimahullah, he told us, he said, you know what had to happen for Sheikh Tahir to be able to teach in the Prophet's Masjid in Medina? I don't know if we know what that means. I don't know if people know what that means. In the Prophet's Masjid Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Medina, it's a bunch of scholars teaching in Medina. They have a chair, they wear the bisht, right? They sit in the chair, classes after Fajr, it's class after Asr, it's Quran class going on, it's class after Maghrib, it's class after Isha. As we say, it's jumping. It's going down as far as class is concerned. It's jumping all day long, all year long. Okay, the people that are there teaching, and it's going on in Mecca too, at the Haram. Even if you go to the Haram in Mecca by the Kaaba, it's going down. In order to teach there, you don't just walk, all those sheikhs that teach in the Medina, all those sheikhs that teach in the Haram in Medina, Sheikh Salih Suhaimi, Sheikh Abdul Razak, Sheikh Abdul Muslim, all those sheikhs that teach in there, they couldn't come. They could not come and say, Sheikh Tahir, we want you to come down and teach tomorrow. They don't have the authority to do that. Y'all with me? They can't say, Sheikh, we want you to come teach tomorrow in English. No, it don't work like that. They had to write up a letter, get more than 20 scholars to sign off on it, and send it to the king of Saudi Arabia. We walking around like it's regular. Somebody gonna come and tell us it's regular. Allah forgive us, man. I mean, they had to, it's a stamp of approval from the king. That joint gotta go all the way up. Just like who pardons people in America to get out of prison? Anybody, any random just pardon people to get out? My son said like a couple weeks ago, why can I pardon them? I said, son, you're nobody, Sheikh. You ain't nobody. Like you gotta be, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't come from anybody. He's talking about my man locked up trying to get out. I said, yo, why can't I just pardon him? Because, I mean, son, you're nobody. You have to be somebody to pardon. That comes from a specific position in the society. Tayyib, you don't just walk in the Prophet's masjid and teach in English. Nobody teaches in English. Sheikh Khalid al-Dadi, rahimahullah, he said, it was about 20 or more mashayikh, scholars. They all signed off for Sheikh Tahir. Sent that joint up to the king, come back. Yeah, tell them to go ahead and teach in the Prophet's masjid. That's regular? How many people you know? I'm just saying, how many people do we know with a doctorate degree in Islamic studies? How many people you know from Philly? I'm talking about from Philly. Taught in the Prophet's masjid in English. Come on, it's not regular. It has to be a level of respect for knowledge. We have to, this is part of our deen, respect and knowledge. Knowing what's going on, what's the procedure. And maybe it's because maybe part of the reason is people never knew what's behind the scenes, how it happens. So maybe people, if they hear it, they'll look at things a little different. People die over there, yo. Families are broken up. I'm talking about divorce. Like it goes, it's a rough to come back to where the scholars say you have to go back to where you, not like that, but go back to your people and teach them. We taught you what you need to go back and give dawah to your people. You think people want to leave Mecca or Medina? As the environment, and I can't even tell you the other part because he might not want me, he don't know I'm saying this, but I wouldn't mention the other part, but this is some serious stuff. For us not to know who's in front of us, what's walking around, and just think it's a normal thing. And maybe because we don't know the backdrop. Maybe if we know the backdrop, we have a little more respect for what's going on. Because we definitely are going to need a whole nother generation to do the same thing. This been going on. This Talib al-Ilm been going on since the time of the Sahaba. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was doing the same thing, waiting outside the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's house. Other Sahaba, I can't make it today, you go. You come back and tell me, I'll go tomorrow. This been going on, and it don't stop. But we need to understand, we're gonna need in our community, people to do the same thing that's been going on. And if we don't do it, we need to really think about what do we expect to be going on in the next 10 or 15 years in our masjids, as far as learning and teaching and dawah. Who do we think is gonna take over that? That needs to be the question. And this is not a personal thing but I want us to understand what's going on. What happens? How do you get to that? You talking about 20 years, yo, of this every day. There's no breaks. We break for like a day and a half between finals. Finals come, you break for like a day and a half, and then you back at it. It's no breaks. For a person to do that and keep it up and keep it up and keep it up, knowing that all the ayat in the Quran that we spoke about, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the reward of learning, right? The rewards connected to learning, knowing that, and the person takes it upon himself and do that, is no money. And when you're there, you out of sight, out of mind. You out of sight, out of mind. Therefore, it gets lonely over there too. You're away from your family. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. And my thing is, what is it for? At the end, what is it all for at the end? Knowledge. Knowledge. And depending on the person that you're talking to, they'll tell you it was even rougher during their time. The further back you go in time, right now, it's a certain way. When I got there, it was a certain way. Before I got there, it was a little more difficult. And the further you go back in time, the more difficult the conditions were to be there. When I got there, we didn't even have a phone to call back and talk to our parents and stuff like that. The phone calls were so high, we used to have to bunch up in this little phone booth, and we get like 10 minutes to call everybody. Hold on, let me get the kids. Stuff the kids in the phone booth. Hold up. You get like 10 minutes. Not every day. That wasn't 10 minutes a day. It might be 10 minutes a week, depending on how much money you had, how much you spend on the phone. To do all of that, right? To do all of that, let alone all the other things that come with it. As a community, we got to learn to respect that process. It's a process that many of us might not have seen, but that's why I don't mind presenting it, because I think if people understand that, I think it'll cause people to look at stuff different, a little different. Allah Alam. I hope people benefit it. I hope people benefit it. Because we have to change. We have to change. If we're serious about deen, and if we're serious about leaving deen behind when we die, because we're going to die, and there's a bunch of our kids running around, if we're serious about our children holding on to deen and keeping the legacy going, we got to change when it comes to knowledge. We don't have any issues when it comes to things like, extracurricular activities, school, and all that's great. But when are we going to get to this stuff? Who's going to do this? When is this going to be priority as a community? Not just for you and you and you, a couple brothers and sisters, a couple families, as a priority, like as a community. This needs to be priority. Somebody's going to take over. Like I said last time, somebody's going to be sitting at the desk teaching, whether they qualified to do it or not. Eventually, somebody's going to take over, whether they're qualified to take over, they have enough knowledge to take over, or they don't have enough knowledge to take over. Why not prepare our future kids to be prepared to have the knowledge? Allah Alam. We can stop there unless there's any questions. Further. I'm listening.
I also think it's a problem that I struggle with this myself. You're scared to let people know that you don't know, so you don't ask the questions because you don't want people to be like, oh, you don't know that.
Right.
Might be something basic.
Right.
So you'll stay quiet instead of asking a question, and then you still don't know instead of just asking.
No doubt. Then when you leave, you still don't know. He said some people struggle with the fact that we don't ask questions because we don't want people to know what we don't know. So I don't want to ask the question and people turn out, damn, you don't know that? So we won't even ask the question. Then we'll get up and leave and still don't know. And more than likely, like they always say, if one person has the question, there's probably 4 or 5 more people with the same question, whether they raise their hand or they don't raise their hand. And that's another thing, we got to break that. There's no shyness when it comes to this. There's no shyness when it comes to this. And the people who have that type of mentality, that's another thing that blocks us from learning.
The shy person and the arrogant person.
The shy person and the arrogant person can't learn. It's a block. I don't want to ask that. Well, you're going to leave and you still don't know. It's going to leave and you're still not going to know. Either way. You could have asked the question. You were there to ask the question, but you didn't ask the question because you were shy. So now you still don't know. And that's a hump to get over. That means I'm not worried about who sees me asking the question. I'm worried about knowing how to worship Allah properly. So I got to ask the question so when I leave, I'm clear on what I'm supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing. People laugh, they think, that's on them. Further.
One thing that has helped me is how Allah created us. Nobody came out of the womb with knowledge.
No doubt. No doubt.
What happens is
So-
we get older, and our ego and our pride, and we start to get in our own head. But at the end of the day, life is a continuous learning journey.
No doubt.
Nobody knows everything.
Nobody knows
Allah
everything.
says, I need.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I done had brothers say, you know that, like, that's
It's simple. You should know that.
Yeah, they probably ain't know either, man. For real. And that's why that's another thing is like even this book right here, and I didn't even intentionally bring this, but a book like this. This is a book that teaches you how to learn. And I'm gonna start using examples just so don't nobody take it personal. We've been taught to do what a lot of people do, sit all the way back there. See how empty it is up here? This is the best spot, but it's empty. Right? If you don't, I'm just saying it because we're here, y'all, it's cool. If you don't have no problem, you shouldn't be on the wall. Right? This is what this book is for. How to dress when you go to class. How to ask a question. How to talk to your sheikh. What if your sheikh makes a mistake? Books like this. It's not just for, right? All that's here. If your sheikh makes a mistake, how do you correct it? Like, what should you do? There's a section in here about, you ready for this one? Not being locked into only the scholars that are famous. There's a whole section there. This is Ibn Jama'ah. We stuck on 2 scholars, or however many, 3, 4. And there's a whole section in here. Don't restrict yourself to, as it says, al-mashhureen. Don't restrict yourself to just the famous scholars. Who's famous, yo? Sheikh Fawzan. Allah yahfadhu. Nothing, they didn't say nothing was wrong with the famous people. It says what? Don't be restricted to just them. It's other ulama. It's other scholars to learn from. That's why he said I wrote on 1,000. I wrote from 1,000 sheikhs, yo. 1,000 different people I went to learn. Somebody will come and tell me it's only 4. Come on, man. These type of books teach us how to interact in this setting.
That's why I think in Philly, in general, the problem with respecting knowledge and people knowledge, we're taught to respect only certain people knowledge.
Yes, respect only these people of knowledge. How? Based on what?
Everybody else is
just, I heard brothers, Allah Mustaan, I've heard brothers refer to sheikhs just by their first name. Just without sheikh in front of it. A person, and these mashayikh that we talking about, these are people with doctorates. So you're talking about how many years? Let's go bare minimum on a doctorate. 4 masters, another 3. Let's go low and say 3. 7, then a doctorate, another 10. Let's go low and say 10 years. In class, that's just in class. Of course, that's not including outside of class with the scholars at their houses and the masjids. We're not including none of that. And then you turn around, haven't studied anything. Haven't studied anything at all, for real. And you just call him, address him by his first name? And then say this, and like make a statement like that, only certain, like where you get where? Where does that fit in? And if that's what we're doing, where can I find it in the books? Because nothing is hidden in our deen, y'all. Everything is traceable. Why do you do that when you do that? Because of this. Where can I find that? And that's what we used to ask the ulama, our scholars, when we sit with them and we go in their house, where can I find that? I never heard that. Where is that at? That's a such and such book. You write the book down. Either you have it in the house, and if you don't have it, what you do? You go buy it. If you want to know, if you want to have your references down. So this book, and this is just one book, Ibn Jama'ah, is books like this that teach you how to interact with the scholars, how to be a person who's trying to learn. How should you carry yourself? You want to learn? Yeah. Okay, how should you carry yourself? You should do this, humble yourself, this. When you go to class, go early, sit up close, don't be distracted, don't look around, respect your teacher. Right? It's books already laid out. If we use them, we use them. If we don't, we wonder why we be prevented from going further in our studies as a community. Because we not using what we have. Further.
It's kind of unrelated, but I wanted to ask, is it halal for a country or for a university to charge for the dean? If it is halal, you still get the benefit or the barakat of teaching beneficial knowledge.
Is it halal to charge to learn?
Yeah, like you go overseas, how much did it cost you to go overseas to
Well, if you go to Mecca Medina, it's pretty much a scholarship. So it doesn't cost to go to Mecca, like University of Medina or Qura. It doesn't cost to go to school. The actual school doesn't cost, but you have to pay to live. So that's on you. Like they tell you, okay, we gave you a scholarship, but we're not taking care of your wife and your children. You can do whatever you got to do, alhamdulillah, but you can come to school, you accepted in the school, all that's fine, right? It's not anything necessarily prevent a prohibition that you can't, and you got to ask what a person charging for. The person might say, I'm not charging for this, but I have other things to do at this time. It's about my time. It's really not about the knowledge. Imam Sheikh Mukbar Rahimahullah said, if I could pour the knowledge into a cup and give it to you, I would. If I could pour this into a cup, Imam Shafi Rahimahullah said, I wish that the knowledge I had, everybody could have it, and they didn't say it came from Imam Shafi. I wish people would just have it. So it's not an issue of necessarily charging or not, but let's think about it though. We'll pay, for real, most people don't get scholarships to college. We just go in debt. We go, I ain't gonna say, loans, debt, we do it to go to Penn, or less than Penn, or go to anywhere. We don't mind paying that off the rest of our lives. Right? We don't mind paying a student loan off for the next 30 years. Where I could possibly have compromised my dean in them classrooms. Could possibly come out of there not really understanding the way I went in. And we'll pay for the next 30 years on that. We don't want to pay for a Quran tutor though. $25 a month to meet with a Quran tutor. That should be free. It's supposed to be fi sabilillah. How they gonna charge? You know what I'm saying? The mentality, we don't mind paying for certain things for the next 30 years. Y'all like it's gonna be a debt. We on there, they taking it from our wages and all that. We don't even mind because we got that paper, right? But when it comes to dean, to us, everything should be free. There's teachers there. That's their job. Who's paying them? And if you go to places like those two universities, it's for the students, it's free. It's really a scholarship. And they give you a stipend. You know what I'm saying? You might have to get books and stuff like that. So, Allahu A'lam. Allah A'lam. Any other questions? If not, inshallah, I pray that Allah gives us the tawfiq to practice what we learn, not just to have it as information, that we use it to become better Muslims.
It's not necessarily a question, it's more like a statement. I think that if we see the Islamic knowledge as being something that we have to carry on our backs to push the next generation forward, people have more respect for it. Meaning that when we die, who else is teaching the kids?
Yes.
You know, we don't see that as important.
Yes.
Or rather say like, you're a husband and a father, you're not taking care of your kids, they're gonna starve.
Right.
You know, as far as the inheritance of the prophets, we're not receiving the inheritance. The kids are not getting the benefit.
Yes.
Therefore, you're gonna starve. You're gonna starve your kids.
No doubt. Even right now, even before we die off, what are we doing like with our kids? How serious are we about our children learning Islam? It's like, and I always say this, it's like we don't have an issue with extracurricular, whatever activity it is, We don't have an issue with dropping our kids off and picking them up for extracurricular activities all week long, all year. And you know what we'll say? I gotta keep them busy, right? Keep them in something. Gotta keep them busy. Can't just let them, right? Tell you, what about Islamic programs? Why we can't keep them busy with Islamic programs? They'll appreciate it later. I gotta keep them busy. With what though? Keep them busy with what? We take them out one extracurricular and throw them right in another extracurricular. Then throw them in another one. And most of those extracurricular are not ran by us. Therefore, our children will be there, they're not praying. Right? The behavior in those places is not conducive Islamically. We don't have a problem with doing that. But we're going to say, if we say it right now, starting next week, we're gonna have such and such for kids 5 days a week. That's too much. Can't do no 5. Can I do 2 shake? I gotta work. Tell you. Who misses out though? The children lose out. If I can't make it, what's my other alternative? The parent, I can't do 5 days a week, but I really want you to go. Huh? How? Gee, Uber. We send them to Uber and anything else? Uber too much. I can't pay an Uber all week, every day. Get with somebody else that's going. Anybody else going? Can my son ride with you? Can my daughter ride with you? It has to be important to the parents. If it's not important to the parents, then our children gonna grow up, y'all, and it's gonna be a disappointment in that regard. Maybe as far as gear and all that and all the dunya stuff, they kept me right. But Dean, hold on.
Then, like you said before, like, don't make Islam a punishment for them.
Yes, don't make Islam a punishment. Islam shouldn't be a punishment for our kids. Once you get mad at them, man, go sit down and read the Quran. You ain't read today. You need to go read something. That's not. So now every time they read the Quran, it's a punishment because they did something wrong. So now every time I do something wrong, I'm gonna have to sit down and read. How do you think that's gonna work out in the next five years of that? Think they're gonna want to read? You think they're gonna be encouraged to read? You need to go listen to a lecture. When you get mad at them, that ain't. That's not the way. It sounds like a punishment now. Every time I get in trouble, I have to do something Islamic. That's not how it should be. Every time I get in trouble, now I gotta do something Islamic. That's gonna turn out in a child's brain to be like, it's gonna backfire. It shouldn't be, it's not a punishment. This is for benefit. So when later on, they'll say, man, alhamdulillah, I was able to do that in the house with my mom. My dad went over this with me, alhamdulillah, because I never forgot that. And they're using it till they die. Not just when they get in trouble or you mad at them, you trying to get them out your face, not nothing like that. It definitely shouldn't be a punishment. Allah, we'll stop there, inshallah. Oh, this book is Tazkirat al-Sami' wal-Mutakallim. It's a book by Ibn Jama'ah. His name is Ibn Jama'ah, if you want to buy the book. It's on Adab al-Alim wal-Muta'allim. It's on the manners of the teacher and the student by Ibn Jama'ah. Ibn Jama'ah. What year is this, Islamically? 1446. Ibn Jama'ah died in the year 733. I got my glasses on, y'all. 733. Right now is 1446. How many years? 700 years. Still benefit from a book written a person that died 700 years ago. That's knowledge, ilm. These are reference books. Why do you do that when you go to class? The Salaf used to do this, the Sahaba. The Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba this. Where is that? Oh, the hadith is in Bukhari. The hadith is here. That's what it is. That's what we're going on. Not the brother down there, he was saying you probably should do something like this. All right, we have to get past that. We have to get out of that and get back to a more traditional way of learning and practicing, inshallah. And I'm going to stop there. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak. Ala nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.